Ever heard the one about the college dropout who started a tech empire in his garage?
Yeah, like a Silicon Valley fairy tale or something?
Pretty much.
Uh-huh.
But the thing is with Steve Jobs, the story's true. And I think there's a lot more to him than just being the Apple guy.
Oh, absolutely. Like you could fill a library with books about his innovations, the business side, the design philosophy.
This deep dive, though, we're going to try to look past the iPhones and the MacBooks.
Okay. Beyond the gadgets, right?
Yeah. To get at what made him tick,
Yeah.
what made him so different.
Fascinating stuff. Because his path wasn't always smooth sailing, was it?
Not at all. I mean, the guy got kicked out of his own company. That's got to sting.
Major setback. But then he comes back and basically revolutionizes like 3 or 4 industries.
All right, so rewind back to the beginning. Jobs, this California kid, gets adopted. What do we know about his early life? Any clues to the legend he'd become?
There's this story I love about him as a kid. He was fascinated by electronics, always taking things apart to see how they worked.
A tinkerer from the start.
Exactly, and apparently he even built a digital frequency counter in high school.
Okay, so clearly a bright kid, but then he drops out of Reed College. What's the deal with that?
Well, he famously said later that dropping out was one of the best decisions he ever made. It freed him up to follow his own interests, like calligraphy, which actually ended up influencing Apple's typography.
You're kidding.
Nope.
Oh.
He saw beauty in the details, things most tech guys wouldn't care about. This is Jobs, right? Always connecting the dots in unexpected ways.
All right, so no college, but a head full of ideas. Enter Steve Wozniak. Cue the garage, right? This is where Apple is born.
Classic startup story. 2 guys in a garage with a vision to change the world. And they did change the world, didn't they?
Totally.
Yeah.
But I think a lot of folks forget Wozniak was the tech whiz. Jobs was the one with the vision, the marketing genius. He knew how to sell the idea, make people crave it.
Absolutely. Wozniak created the Apple I, a pretty incredible feat of engineering for the time, but Jobs was the one who saw its potential to be more than just a hobbyist's toy.
He understood how to make it desirable, to turn it into something people would line up for.
Yeah, he created a brand, not just a product. This was revolutionary back then.
So Apple takes off, they're on a roll, then boom, Jobs gets ousted from his own company in the mid-'80s. What led to that?
There were clashes with the board disagreements about the direction of the company. Some saw him as too controlling, too difficult to work with.
I'm putting it mildly from what I've read. Strong personality, right?
Definitely headstrong and uncompromising when it came to his vision. But never underestimate the guy. This exile, this forced departure, it actually fueled his next chapter.
He doesn't just disappear. He goes and founds NextT, another computer company.
And while NextT wasn't a commercial blockbuster, it was super innovative. Their operating system actually laid the groundwork for what would become Mac OS X when Jobs returned to Apple.
So in a weird way, getting fired was the best thing that could have happened.
You could argue that. It forced him to evolve, to innovate even further. And then there's the Pixar story.
Ugh, Pixar. Talking about a curveball. From computers to cartoons.
Well, he bought this little animation studio from George Lucas in '86, called it Pixar. Nobody knew if it would amount to anything.
And then Toy Story hits in '95. Changes everything.
Blows people's minds. First fully computer animated feature film. And it's brilliant, funny, heartwarming, groundbreaking.
Jobs, once again, ahead of the curve.
Why?
Seeing potential where others didn't.
It's like he had this instinct for what was coming next in technology and entertainment, and he wasn't afraid to take risks.
So NextT lays low-key groundwork for his Apple comeback. And Pixar's this smash hit. Talk about a comeback story.
Yeah.
Apple in the late '90s was struggling. They needed a miracle.
And they brought back the guy they'd fired a decade earlier.
What a moment that must have been.
Talk about swallowing your pride, right? But it was the right move. Jobs came back with a vengeance.
And then it's like a greatest hits album, the iPod, the iPhone, the iPad. Each one of those things redefined its category.
The iPod changed how we listen to music. The iPhone transformed the very idea of a phone. And the iPad, well, it created a whole new category of device.
Genius, pure genius. But was it just the products or was there something more?
Jobs was obsessed with design, with simplicity, with making technology intuitive and beautiful. He famously said, design is not just what it looks like and feels like. Design is how it works.
He wanted to create products that were as much a pleasure to use as they were to look at.
And he understood the power of storytelling. Those Apple product launches weren't just announcements, they were events. He was a master showman.
Remember the black turtleneck and jeans? Iconic.
He created a persona, a brand around himself that was as recognizable as the Apple logo.
So we've got the innovation, the design, the showmanship. But what I think really sets Jobs apart is his resilience. This guy faced setback after setback and always came back swinging.
Dropping out of college, getting fired from his own company, he never let those setbacks define him. He used them as fuel.
And that's maybe the most important lesson we can take from his story. It's not about avoiding failure. It's about how you respond to it.
Exactly. In his famous Stanford commencement speech, he urged graduates to stay hungry, stay foolish.
Words to live by, right? Never stop learning, never stop pushing boundaries.
Jobs' life was a testament to that philosophy, and that's what made him more than just a tech guy. He was a visionary, a rebel, an artist.
So next time you pick up your phone or listen to music or watch a Pixar movie, take a moment to appreciate the legacy of Steve Jobs. But even more importantly, think about what you can learn from his journey, from his resilience, from his relentless pursuit of excellence. How can you stay hungry, stay foolish in your own life? That's something worth pondering, isn't it?
Yeah, it really is.
And that's a wrap on another deep dive.
See you next time.
Catch you later.